Hey everyone, Irit here, and I have another art journal process for you today. So I'm using mostly the two Prima sets, the Pastel Dreams and Shimmering Lights, which I put together in this larger metal tin because I had one free. And I did add that green that you see at the top of the metal box. I added that color instead of, I think there are a couple of more browns in the set. Oh, and I also added the gray. I think the gray is from another Prima set. And yeah, I decided this time to do something different and draw from a reference. So I have Vogue magazine, which I actually bought just for getting inspiration and for painting stuff. I don't tend to buy like beauty or fashion magazines just because it's so far from where I am at the moment. And for me, an achievement is wearing clothes that don't have, baby related stains on them. Anyway, yeah, so I am kind of growing fonder and fonder of these, of the Pastel Dreams set. I still think it's a very it's not a very versatile set. You can't really, I mean, you can mix new colors from it, but I think they will be muddy because they are already so mixed, I guess, and very opaque and have a lot of white in them. So you could probably get all kinds of muddy colors. But if you like the colors as they are, then I think it's a fun set. And yeah, it's just a fun color palette to play with. Now, the Shimmering Lights, I do like some of the colors in it. Ooh, I'm using these sponges that I got at Jackson's Art, and I'm going to use them and create this texture in the hair. I was inspired to do this by Mindy Lacefield, which I've mentioned in previous videos. She shows how to use these sponges. I've seen them in the art store, but I've never actually got them. I think they're also fun to use if you paint, like landscapes and nature and that sort of thing. You can make grass and trees and all kinds of fun, interesting textures. But in this case, I thought it worked really well because the model's hair in the photo was kind of curly, and yeah, it was kind of easy to create that with the sponge. So just back to the Shimmering Lights set. It has a few nice colors, but I would say probably from all the Prima sets, this one, the Shimmering Lights one, is the most specific set with a lot of similar colors. Again, if you like this color palette, you can see it's all kind of bronze, golden, orange, like metallic shimmering paints. So if you like that, that's great. But if you're looking for something versatile, then I have to say, if there was one set that is the least versatile from all of them, it's this one. And I think if you get the other sets and the metallic accent set, you probably don't need this one. Having said that, I am enjoying it, and especially it has a few of these more grayish metallics that actually added one to her hair alongside one of the gold colors. And yeah, and I'm taking from the photo kind of the basic idea, and this went really fast, I would say, probably because the glasses are covering her eyes, and that's where a lot of the time and detail goes in. Like, that's where I spend a lot of time doing those parts, and here I just had the glasses, so so this took me less time than the other ones. The brush I'm using is an Escoda Perla Perla brush, and this is actually the travel brush, so that's why it has that metal like that's the metal you see, that it's a travel brush and it closes into a smaller brush that is convenient for traveling. And this brush comes as part of a set of 3 brushes from the same line, just in different sizes. The other 2 in the set are regular, not travel brushes. And I think this one is number 10, and it's a great size. Mostly I use number 8, number 10, and also the Escoda Perla number 14 is a good one. Those are the brushes that I mostly use. Also, round brushes are quite versatile. And yeah, so this is a really nice set. I will link you to it, and I think for the value, for what you get, it's also a good price. I can't remember exactly how much, like $30 or $40 or something like that for 3 really nice brushes. And I've been using mine a lot, and they still work great. So yeah, so I'm just adding layers of color, working on certain areas, letting it dry, moving to other areas. And at some point I really decided this was enough. I didn't add like really dark shadows here, and I just had fun, and I did keep the reference photo near me, but then at some point I just, you know, added some of my touches. Like I really like the super pink cheeks with that watercolor stained look, so I added that at some point. You can't see her eyes, so I couldn't do my rainbow eyes, but yeah, I just had a lot of fun, just added some different colors. Really experimenting with what I can get away with in terms of like colors in the shadows and that sort of thing. So that was kind of like the first session, I think, and then everything dried and I came back to it with some Prima pencils, and these are really fun. They add a nice texture. You can add some details with it, and then you can go in with water and blend it a little bit or a lot, depending if you want to keep that pencil texture or not. And yeah, this one is this pencil that I'm using is by Caran d'Ache, which is a Swiss company, and these are also watercolor pencils. I think they're called Museum Aquarelle, something like that. And I just got 2 colors in different shades that I already had because I read on Jackson's Art Supplies that these are like super incredible, amazing, and I wanted to try. And the 2 colors that I got, I have to say, yes, they are fantastic, but I also really like the Prima ones and the Albrecht Dürer that I have from Faber-Castell. They're watercolor pencils. And the Caran d'Ache ones cost, I think, double than the other ones. So I don't think that they are that amazing that it justifies that price. Unless you find, you know, a few amazing colors that you don't find in other collection, like pencil collections, then maybe. But other than that, yes, they're lovely, they're vivid, but I think they cost like €3 a pencil or something like that. I got them on a sale, but still that's really steep. So, but I just wanted to tell you what I'm using. I really feel like, you know, a part of having my YouTube channel is to try different products and say, you know, this is like worth the extra expense and this not necessarily. So yeah, I wanted to test these. So I'm adding some shadows, and you see I'm also experimenting with colors, trying to add some blues and see how that works. And yeah, I think the girl in the photo, the woman in the photo, is wearing some sort of red jacket, and she also has the hand is touching her face, but I didn't want to get into that. I remember I took a painting course in high school, and I don't know how many weeks I worked just on painting hands, and I really hated that. I think it turned out okay. I remember I had this big piece of like Bristol paper or something, just full of hands that I painted with a pencil. And yeah, it's just, so I just skipped it. Artistic license, you can do whatever you want. If you're using a reference photo and there is some sort of detail on the photo that you don't want to paint, then you don't have to paint it. This was just a really great starting point, and then you can kind of make it your own. What I was thinking as I was making it, I knew I was supposed to get the Prima art ingredients, I think they call the paints, the acrylic paints that I showed in a haul recently on my channel, and I thought that they would be perfect to paint the glasses, because the glasses in the reference photo are also kind of metallic rose gold. But then it took the package longer, and I just kind of finished it without that paint. Maybe I will go back and add it. So I decided I was kind of like, okay, what now? I decided to switch it up a bit and try a different brush. So I'm using a dagger brush, and you can see that it has really long hairs that are on a very kind of steep diagonal. And this really allows for very expressive loose brush strokes, and I thought it would be perfect for her hair. So I'm going back and adding mostly those two colors that I used from the beginning for her hair, which is kind of a very yellowish gold and a more kind of grayish metallic color, which I really love the combination. It's kind of, I guess, more of an ash blonde, or a cooler blonde. I like that. I think you get more depth if you use a few colors and not just one. So yeah, changing a brush is also a great way of just mixing things up a little bit, getting looser, getting just a different variety of lines and shapes on your pages, layouts, whatever, art journal spreads. And yeah, I'm just adding just a little bit more depth to the lips. And the last thing I will add is, of course, some highlights with a white paint pen. I'm going to use my Sharpie paint pen, which is lovely, and adding those very pinkish cheeks. So yeah, what can I say? I'm really enjoying all the different Prima sets. It's just fun to play with, and it's also fun kind of not to have to think about what color palette you're going to use on your project. I have a large watercolor palette with all my artist grade watercolors, and if I grab one of the smaller Prima ones, then I don't have to think too much about what colors to use. And it's just, there's nothing wrong with either way, but I like to mix things up, and I like to make things simpler for myself. And especially my art journal is a place for playing and experimenting, and I'm really okay with not taking the time every time I start a new spread to think about the color scheme and the colors I want to use, and just grab a set of watercolors and start painting. I'm totally okay with that, and I think it makes the process simpler and really fun. So that's it. You see, I left her quite on the light side, but I really like how this turned out, and I hope you enjoyed this. You can see some of the details, and those accents that I added in white really makes such a huge difference. Leave me a comment if you have any questions. I will link to all the supplies that I've used in the description box. Thanks so much for watching. I wish you a lovely day. Bye.